taste when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will, and we have a loaded episode today as I will be slightly going over the amazing 40, not all 40, but the 40 visitors that will be visiting the Miami Hurricanes, actually for Mark Cristobal's pool party / barbecue over at his home. Some of the top recruits in the countries. Some names are very familiar if you're within the Canes 2027 recruiting atmosphere, and you'll see exactly who I'm talking about. So let's just get underway. And also, I'll be bringing up, of course, the very popular and the young man who's making a lot of headway at wide receiver, Samarian Wingo. So starting first with, of course, Mark Matthews, the offensive tackle out of St. Thomas Aquinas, the #1 offensive tackle listed in the country this recruiting cycle. Will Menzel, one of the top nationally ranked quarterbacks coming out of the 2027 cycle as well. And Joshua Dobson, 5-star cornerback, elite cornerback coming out of the state of North Carolina. All right, so a guy that Miami is really likes and is really after and has a good chance of, I think, flipping is David DJ Jacobs, the top edge rusher who surprisingly committed to Ohio State, but Miami's still been hot on his heels. He's still showing Miami some interest, and Miami is going to try to definitely recruit him and continue to recruit him. And, of course, now Eric McFarland III, a favorite of a lot of the podcasters out here as well. You guys, that's a very wide receiver rich recruiting cycle. Eric McFarland is a top 100 wide receiver, explosive pass catcher, and would look very good in Miami's offense, some scouts are saying. Of course, this is a favorite of a bunch of people too, as far as running backs go. Myson Johnson Cook, who is out of East St. Louis. Yes, that East St. Louis that one time was the home of Jeff Thomas, right? Former Miami Hurricane wide receiver. So it's going to be a pretty interesting affair this upcoming weekend as the Miami Hurricanes look to pretty much flip, and they also pretty much hope to land some of the most notable recruits coming into this recruiting cycle as well. And like I said, guys, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. This is just Miami chipping away, and hopefully we can land a few of these guys. I think Miami's poised for another top 10 recruiting class this upcoming season. But the young man I really want to talk about is Samarian Wingo, right? Samarian Wingo has been making a lot of headway. And of course, some people did bring up the fact that I did somewhat compare to Michael Irvin. And I don't mean to say he is the next up and coming Michael Irvin. I know he hasn't stepped a foot on Hard Rock yet and caught a football yet for the Miami Hurricanes. But from what I saw in the huddle video, this young man is very promising. And I do like what I see. I agree with Flo. He is a phenomenal athlete. He's very athletic. And what I like about him is his aggression at the position. And that's why I draw comparisons to Mike. Mike is a very aggressive wide receiver. Was an aggressive wide receiver when he was a Miami Hurricane and also in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys. And I see a lot of that build within Samarian as well. From the challenging of 50-50 balls, diving for the footballs, his blocking capabilities, his route running as well, his soft hands, his elusiveness as well. Could separate, could battle for anybody. Very high football IQ. Malachi Toney, and this is an amazing compliment because Malachi Toney, who's a freshman All-American, said that Samarian reminds him a little bit about himself, coming into this year. So if he turns out to be anything like Malachi Toney, the Miami Hurricanes definitely found a gem out of St. Augustine. But let me go over his stats, his senior year stats in 2025. He had a great year, only playing 11 games for St. Augustine. All right, but he had 46 catches. I know I went over this before, but I just want to remind people. 46 catches, 827 yards receiving. Remember, this is only in 11 games. 18 yards per catch, 13 touchdowns, averaging 75.2 yards per game. Also had 20 rushing yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. So 16 total touchdowns altogether, both at receiver and also as a running back. He played defense as well. So we know 6 tackles, 1 interception, very similar to Nick Lanier. But I also want to talk about his junior year status as well. In his junior year, all right, he played all 13 games, had 65 catches, was a 1,000-yard receiver with 1,040 yards, all right, 16 yards per catch, basically 17, 16.8, and 12 receiving touchdowns. Now, I just want to let you know with a little bit of context, all right, like I said, his junior year, he played 13 games, whereas his senior year, he played 11 games. So that's pretty much what I wanted to go over as far as Samarian goes. And I just want to say that this is a young man that's made a lot of noise in practice, and I'm really looking forward to seeing. Look, I can almost guarantee he's going to get on the field one way or another this season. It is a very, very loaded wide receiver room, and that is not a bad thing to have, because that means that you have pretty much, how can you say, it's an embarrassment of riches. So I'm very excited for this football team. This football team this season is loaded at every single position. The offensive line, I know, has been a concern for some people, but it's basically just a lack of experience, but not a lack of talent. All right, not a lack of talent at all. And the same thing goes for the wide receiver position as well. There is a lot of talent on this team, and the lack of experience that they may have, like the guys like Wingo and Spafford and, and Evans and stuff like that, and even more when we got a couple who has some experience but didn't play at like every single game, and didn't get a lot of snaps. Those are guys that are just flat out good athletes, and they're all hawks as well, and they can make plays. And that's what you want out of your receiving core. You want guys that are absolute dogs and playmakers. And the wonderful thing about this wide receiving core, none of them is afraid to get in the mud, and they all block. All right, they're all blockers. They all know how to block. They know how to pancake, defensive backs. And I'm most excited to see that. So the bottom line is, though, like, I'm excited about Wingo. I'm reporting this because I've heard good things about Wingo based upon other podcasts as well and what they're saying and so on. He's very smooth in catching the football and running routes, and he's basically acclimated himself to the offense. I know it's early. All right, I know it's early in terms of practicing and stuff like that, spring practice. We'll see a little bit more as time progresses. And those of you who are able to attend a spring game, feel free to fill me in on how he does at the spring game. But the bottom line is, though, I think Miami has a great future with this young man. A great future with this young man. And the best part is that now they're staying home. Right? They're staying home. Right? I know Wingo's not a South Florida kid, but he's still a Florida kid. Right? Malachi stayed home. Wingo's staying home. And now you have Nick Lanier staying home as well. So we'll see what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. If you like what you heard, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Everyone, God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Easter weekend. And remember why we celebrate Easter, right? It's because of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Have a good one, guys. God bless. See you soon. Go Canes. All about the U. Bye-bye.